All right, Hefty here, 492W, talking about CPD number 2, recruiting of staff and training. We'll do a review here, some overview from the textbook, the prep for hiring, and some prep and application for project 4. Again, I'll highlight some things from the textbook, but it's important you take notes on the key components I'll talk about that complement and add that'll be required in project 4. All right, key points here first when we look at reviewing of the hiring process. The job description, you're going to design a job description and you need to review that. There's an example of one under the tools at the top on Canvas. It's a template where it just has the headers. This would give you an idea of what is the minimum you will need in the design process to get the points. It also will have a link there for different evaluations. Again, you're going to need to design one of those and use that in the project. There you can go ahead and copy and paste as long as you reference that correctly. You are going to have 6 interview questions. The textbook talks about only 4. I'm going to add these 2, health, law, and validity. We'll talk about legal don'ts, and then kind of the selection process that you're going to have to do too. With internal training, we're going to talk about ways to make it the most cost effective. And the book will talk about these 5 steps, and I'll give you some ideas and examples. But again, everything we're doing in the class serves as a model for how you would do that. So think of the first 2 weeks as your internal training that we did. Some health law ideas. Again, the topic is hiring process and training and development of staff. We want to think about health law now from a way to educate your staff and inform your staff, part of customer service. We want to think about interview questions with health law also then. So again, looking at health law ideas for your discussion, search, and a share. We could look at different ways educating and informing staff of current health law. So you can pull out key components there that we haven't discussed in your business. Talk about and provide different ideas and research on interview questions with candidates or in the hiring process with health law or Affordable Care Act. Some example questions here. I just give you 5. You don't have to use these, but these are some ideas just to give you some concrete examples also. We go to the job description. The reason it's needed and the purpose it serves is that this serves as your expectations in your job performance, but also then part of your checklist when you do your evaluation in your job performance. Okay. So again, these are things you have to have documented. Again, with the class, you're going to design this so that you get that real experience, active learning process of how to design a quality job description. In the interview questions, again, the textbook talks about 4 types: open, closed, experiential, situational. You need to add for the projects the other 2, which is health law. Again, you're not trying to stump them with the question. You're just trying to get an understanding of what they know about health law, or more important, specifically, things that may impact your business type. This last one is a validity question. This is used in academia all the time. Is you're going to ask a similar question just in a different way. The answer there should be basically the same. This is what I call the bullshit question. So if you think the person is coming up with phony lies and stories that are grand and wonderful, this kind of fills these out, and obviously don't want to be hiring somebody that's fabricating their experience. Again, must include all 6 types in project 4 and write up actual 6 of them. So I would stop here and actually write 6 first draft questions so you've got things started. You will have to do TRI for each for the questions where you're going to talk about the 6 types. That's your T. Describe them, and then give a reference for, cite a reference for those, And then last, the I is actually the 6 different questions you would write for your business, specifically for a job description or job position you would have in your business. Some interview no-nos from a legal standpoint. Real simple. You can't ask anything of a personal nature. So you can see those 7 things there. Real simple. I'll give you a great story. I was an example of a mistake here. I was doing an interview at a small liberal arts school that was a church-affiliated religion affiliation, and I was doing an open forum interview where people from the community could come up. And the college had not, the hiring committee had not screened these people, so a person came up and started asking me all sorts of illegal personal questions, specifically about my religious beliefs and how I would apply that to the job there at the college. I went ahead and answered it anyway, because then I knew I had some leverage in the hiring process if I wanted the job. They had really created a problem where I could have actually sued them. So kind of a fun story of how to learn not to do something. The interview questions for Project 4, as I said, you're going to have to develop a job description. So again, go to the Canvas and you'll see a concrete example of a template with the given minimum expectations there, and you fill that out. Again, we're going to use a variety types of questions. You've got the 6. Make sure you review and edit it for legal. And then you need to develop an interview agenda, kind of the process for that from beginning to end. Key point here in that you must follow it up with reference checks. This is a big mistake a lot of people make. Everything sounds great in the interview, but then you don't do the reference checks, and then later on, candidate, you find out left the job not for good reasons. So the idea is to do a minimum of 3 so you get some validity in that process too. You have to do an evaluation for that final recommendation. You're going to have to do that. So key point here, when you do an evaluation form, it has to have 2 components. It has to have a number, a point system, and that way when you're doing your interviews of several different candidates, you'll come up with a number, but then you have to have written justification to support those. The reason this is important is that there'll be a time where you're going to have to talk with someone about why they didn't, and you've got some documentation from a legal standpoint, but also then some concrete comparisons of why you did or didn't. Again, last, you've got to make sure when you do your final recommendations, if we interview 5 people, then you would go ahead and say, first, I would hire or not hire out of all 5 of them. Let's say you would hire 3 of them, then you want to go ahead and write down the order we would offer to number 1, number 2, number 3, because very often if it's a good position and they're good candidates, the first one will be not accepted and take it with go with a different company, but then you can go down to number 2 and not have to start the whole process all over again. When it comes to training a staff, real simple here. Application of Project 4. Use the 5-step process they talked about. So you need a needs analysis. With your needs analysis for the course, you must include customer service as one of the topics. You must include leadership. And then we want to talk about those learning styles we discussed in Project 3 and how you would apply those. For topics, again, it's about getting into the training needs. They talked about urgent, short, and long term. This is where you're going to need to set up then with your strategies, your internal and external training agendas. It can be 1 day, 3 day, whatever. Again, the example would be what we did the first few weeks in the course. Delivering the material, great example again. We've used different forms of digital media to do that, as well as the discussion boards that create 2-way communication. And then last, you need to have some form of accountability, and that's the evaluations. Examples again would be the online quizzes, the pre-quizzes, the discussion boards, and then the projects that we're doing. Another example with customer service is don't just think about the training of staff, but we want to look at down the road customer service and our clients. They talk about analytics. An example would be Google Analytics.